Welcome to Week in Horror.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
The podcast that deep dives all the films you love.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
The week they dropped in horror history.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
With your horror hosts, JL.
When a shirtless Sam Elliott with no mustache takes out an alligator with an oar, that's the kind of movie I'm looking for.
Eugene.
And we're just casually just like, yeah, so that's probably the best way to go, light someone on fire with that's the lead.
Alex.
It would not be an original lineup if I didn't have fucking technical difficulty.
Johnny O.
Now, it's not an Amityville, or where it's Amityville.
And Aaron.
They got manure to work with and nothing grew from it.
News, trailers, trivia, special guests, and more.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Live show every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central at youtube.com/weekinhorror.
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
And wherever you listen to podcasts.
One by one, we will take you.
Week in Horror. Stay scared. Welcome, horror fans. It is Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time. That means it is time for another episode of the Week in Horror podcast. The only podcast officially sponsored by Cheddar Goblin Mac and Cheese by Devane. And if you, dear horror fanatic, are listening to us at the top of the week, remember, we do this live every Wednesday here on YouTube, and you can join us here in the live chat. Come hang out with us. This week, we are covering select horror films released December 11th through December 17th. Thank you all so much for joining us. I am JL. Good to see everybody. Yep, it is just me tonight. It is a solo show. Apparently, there is a bug going around. Johnny O is dealing with that. So, and Aaron was going to be on the show tonight, and apparently he's feeling kind of poorly. So there's something going around, and of course Eugene is out there doing the best Spielberg impression that he can, kicking ass on a film set somewhere. We're going to get more details as those come out, but yeah, and I think Alex as well is dealing with sick kiddos. So just me tonight. You just have me. So I hope that doesn't drag it down. I know I've done a couple of solo shows before in the past, and I'm going to try and keep up the energy. This is always really interesting to do solo shows here at Week in Horror. But yeah, hopefully we have some fun tonight. We have some fun stuff that we're going to listen to, some stuff we're going to check out. And, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So before we get started, let me go and throw up the banner. There is our Patreon banner, all of the amazing patrons who help us to make this show possible. We appreciate all y'all's support. And let me say hi to everybody here in the live chat before we kick things off. Let me see here. Travis Brown is here. Good to see you, Travis Brown. Angel Rivera as well. Says happy holidays, ghouls and gals. Good to see you. So, thanks so much for being here. Wrote it no last name as well. Says happy Deadness Day. Good to see you, Rodent. Gabba Gabba to you. UKPI's in the house. Good to see you, UKPI. And let me see. Sonia Garlic is here. Good to see you, Sonia. Sarcasm as well. And Skits Crasher. Hello, hello. Denova28 is here. Says hello, everyone. How are you? Doing good, sir. Doing good. Gonna try and do the solo show tonight, so I'm kind of excited. It's always iffy when you're doing a solo show because you never know, because there's no one to bounce off of. So you just gotta maintain the flow yourself. But it's a challenge, but it's always one I'm willing to go after. Charlie Welch is lurking and gaming. Good to see you, Charlie. The only man on the internet you never make a bet with. Good to see you, Charlie Welch. Jay Vers is here. Says, wow, I joined right at the start. Well, welcome, Jay Vers. So many of our amazing patrons in the live chat tonight. Cindy Johnson is here. Good to see you, Cindy. So are you by yourself tonight? I am. Unfortunately for y'all, I am by myself tonight. But we'll try and make it a solid show. Or I will try to make it a solid show. Luckily, I have all of you. Frayed Edges is here. Says, what up, you kinky people? Not much, Frayed Edge. Just doing the thing. Tony Regime with obligatory ghost. Thank you so much. Says, hello, Week in Horror. Good to see you, Tony. Surf is here. Good to see you, Surf. Says, hey. Thanks so much for being here. And I see who else. Travis Brown says, a bug you said Week in Horror? Is it the Brundlefly? I hope it's not the Brundlefly. That'll definitely make for some interesting tidbits to talk about next week if it is. Let me see who else we got here. Leanne Richard, BQN is here. Says, howdy, friends. Waves furiously. Good to see you, Leanne. Thanks so much for hanging out tonight. And Christo Kiernium is here. Good to see you, Christo. Thanks so much for being here. Sir Cadden says, I'll pretend to be Johnny and hate on everything except Two Sisters. It's pretty impossible to hate on that particular movie. We do have some interesting selections tonight, and it's kind of a roller coaster as far as what we were going to talk about. Leanne Richards says, I didn't watch any horror this week. My family have some in palliative care. We are on call for that. Well, I hope they are doing okay. So whatever you need to do, absolutely. But family, absolutely, very important. But good. Thank you for hanging out, Leanne. Appreciate that very, very much. Surf says the back and forth discussion will be interesting. This is true. The back and forth will be interesting. The back and forth with myself. So, but nonetheless, but I've done it. We've done it before. We'll do it again as well. And it's always fun because you never know really what's going to happen just being here solo. But let's see. First and foremost, I want to let everybody out there know. Everybody hanging out that if you follow us on the socials, if you follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, or of course on Facebook, we have the Daily Splatter. Now, the Daily Splatter has been going on since we started this show. Essentially, it's a daily post, which is literally a film that came out that day in horror history, or of course, happy birthday to a horror icon or an in memoriam for someone who has passed. And Skid Scratch says, I'm used to talking to myself. I kind of am. I'm used to the sound of my own voice. I'm sorry to hear that Genovis has been having a shit week himself. I'm sorry, but at least we have this little bit of a reprieve for the next couple of hours. We can hang out and just kind of like have fun here. So if you follow us on the socials and you watch the Daily Splatter, I appreciate everybody who sees that Daily Splatter, and of course those that like and interacts with it, because those interactions really, really help as far as algorithms go. And there was apparently an issue with Twitter that cropped up on the 16th of November. The something happened in the back end, and the Daily Splatter wasn't going through. So what we do over here at Week in Horror is we schedule everything out via the Adobe Express scheduler, and that sends everything out to all the various sites. Well, apparently something was going on the Twitter end, and those weren't going out. They were scheduled, but they weren't happening. And I was fighting back and forth with Adobe and Twitter, and they all wanted to point at each other and be like, it's their fault. We have no idea what's going on. Some people were looking into it, but all of a sudden, on December 1st, bam, they all started working again. So from the 16th to December 1st, Twitter was kind of down, but now it's back up. So if you follow us there, we appreciate all those interactions via whatever your favorite social media interaction is, because those Daily Splatters, I do them all like a month in advance. I'm currently working on January's, and I'll have those all pre-scheduled so that you can at least get a horror film recommendation every single day of the year. Man, I've been doing that since 2019, since September of 2019 when we started this show. So, long time. Genova says, I noticed y'all have been spamming the Daily Splatter. Yeah, it goes out every single day. Every single day you get at least a movie, and sometimes there's a happy birthday and an in memoriam to let people know who are horror fans, be like, oh yeah, it's their birthday today, or something of that deal, or at least a recommendation, a film recommendation that you can go and watch and check out, or put on your list if you're looking for more recommendations. Because the Daily Splatter, like I said, what is it? I don't even know how many days that is. Since September of 2019, it's been going every single day. And Twitter and Instagram, Facebook and Instagram have pretty much run uninterrupted. So it's been like Facebook ever since September of 2019. Every single day we've had something go out. So. Oh, there it is. There's Plot Hole. Says, sorry, folks. Damn plague going around here. It's all right. We got this. Leanne Rich says, that would make a great journal to use again and again. I want to talk to myself because I want an intelligent conversation. Yeah, that's right. Sarcasm. Very good. Let's see here. Yeah, pretty much just Twitter. We just use it. I know people have issues with Twitter. They have issues with Facebook. They have issues with like Elon or Zuck. And Instagram is connected to Facebook, and I get that. I understand that. We just use it for marketing. So if you follow us there, and if you like the posts, or if at least you'll be found out. It's pretty. You'll find out like what something cool that you probably didn't know existed that you could go and then you could watch. So that's pretty much all it is. But the Twitter functionality is back. For those who might have been curious or who didn't know, Twitter functionality is back. Let's see. The other thing, though, another big thing we have to do is that we have this month's Bloodbath debate coming up. So because Christmas falls pretty much on a weekend, and typically we do the Bloodbath debate towards the end of the month, but the 24th and the 25th are Saturday and Sunday, so we bumped it up. So our Bloodbath debate is going to be on the 17th and the 18th, and that's going to be in between Aaron and Angela. So Aaron and Angela are going to debate one another, and it's because it would have been Eugene, but Eugene's currently out, so he's currently working. So it's going to be Aaron versus Angela, and it will be the animals from Your Next versus the strangers from the strangers. So, and I'm supposed to do the coin toss. We're supposed to do the coin toss, but unfortunately, because if remember, so it's Aaron. Aaron won the last one because Aaron beat me, and Aaron's the one who's supposed to call it in the air, which one he wants. So I don't know what he wants to do, like if he wants heads or tails, and I don't want to call for him. If Angela wins, I know what Angela wants. If she wins the coin toss, I know what she wants to pick. I just don't know what Aaron wants. So so if he happens to pop into the live chat a little bit later and say hi, then we might be able to do that. But I have the coin here ready to go to determine if he wants heads or tails, and then we can figure out who's going to represent who come the next bloodbath debate. All right. So, what's going on here? So, so he says, plot hole, hope you're feeling better soon. And unfortunately, no, it would be the Battle of the Horse, and it won't be the Battle of the Horror Santas. Surf says I call Tails for reasons. Yeah, because Tails never fails. Wrote no last name says the plot, just remember, it's wrong to serve your kids frozen pizza rolls. You should heat them first. This is true. This is very, very true. And Travis Brown says, you're welcome, and you can tell JL about the turd polishing of these films. Okay, I can tell you. One thing it may sound like I'm turd polishing, but one of them, you can't. You can't polish that turd. You just can't. At all. You just can't. Now, before we dive into tonight's selections, I wanted to show this because how could I not show this? Because this popped up in my feed, and I saw it the other day when it first dropped, and I've been waiting to... actually, we didn't show it last week, but I had to show this because we have to. And based on true events that took place, or loosely based on true events that took place back in 1980, we have to watch the trailer for Cocaine Bear.
Medic! Oh, Jesus. What is that?
Just walk away.
Beth, we should go.
Millions of dollars worth of cocaine fell from the sky this morning in Knoxville, Tennessee.
There's more of this out there. They dumped it somewhere.
I'm looking for my daughter.
Forest is a dangerous place.
Hey, Henry, check it out. Something got into it. A deer, maybe.
A lot of cocaine was lost. I need you to go and get it.
This is so brilliant. And the cast they got.
No, don't eat that, don't eat that. Let's see what kind of effect that has on us.
The bear. It fucking did cocaine. A bear did cocaine.
There was a bear.
A bear?
It was 4.
Hey, that's inappropriate.
You're safe. Bears can't climb trees.
Of course I can.
Higher, baby.
Oh, shit.
Get higher, baby.
It kind of seems like the thing that stays with a man forever.
Apex predator. High on cocaine.
Out of his mind. Oh man, you fucked.
What the fuck is wrong with that bear?
Shoot it, man!
Bear, speed up!
Get higher, baby. And don't ever come down.
Come on. Shh, come on. We have such good luck in nature.
Oh, that is brilliant. Yes, the use of white lines in the soundtrack is brilliant. That thing just cracks me. It cracks me up. Yeah, it's going to be kind of like probably be. It's a horror film, but it's a horror comedy, black comedy in that respect. But that looks amazing as hell. Not to mention the cast that's in it. It's just like wow to assemble that all those individuals with Kerry Russell. Kerry Russell's in Cocaine Bear. Ray Liotta, one of his final films. But I'm really, really looking forward to like Scarface in the woods. I like the scene where the bear does a rail with the bear. The bear does a rail off the dismembered leg, just and then carries on. That shit is great. So I'm really, really looking forward to that one. That one looks funny as hell, and when it comes out, I'm probably going to show it in the Discord. So, but yeah, we had to watch the trailer for Cocaine Bear. How could we not watch the trailer for Cocaine Bear? If you are looking forward to the trailer, or looking forward to the film when it comes out February 24th is when that's going to drop. If you're looking forward to that, then let us know down in the comments below, or of course at weekinhorror@gmail.com. I see that a lot of people in the live chat are looking forward to it because it just looks hilarious and it looks cool as hell. And just to see people get torn apart by a cocaine-addled bear is going to be freaking hilarious. Oh man. So, that being said, we do have some movies that I guess I am going to be talking about tonight. Let me see here. So, first and foremost, so normally I say Johnny would tell me, what do we have up first? So I'll tell you what we have up first. And there's some interesting stuff about this one because, we'll get into it. We'll get into it here in a bit, but let's check this first. Released December 14th, 2010, we have the indie horror film, Night Things. Let's check out this trailer. A marijuana squirrel. Meth gators and LSD sharks. Those are the films I want to see next. Meth gators and LSD sharks.
How long have you been here?
I don't know. Months, maybe. All I know is that basically, it's like we're dead already. You can die 100 times here. It doesn't matter. You just wake up where you started.
You just come back to life? I mean, that's...
And you could see them. Faces in the earth. In the shadows. In their hands. They started to take people. Pull them down. Cover their mouths so they couldn't scream. Then somehow, they learned words. Like they were listening to us. To me. And they learned my name. They'd whisper my name from the trees. From where they buried themselves in the ground. They never looked human. Until today.
Come on, Mommy. Daddy's hungry.
All right, so that was the trailer for Night Things. So, directed by Ward Crockett and written by Ward Crockett and Ryan Notch, and starring Catherine Gould, Joey Nicole Thomas, and Ari Azimi. The film so the film follows a girl, the girl in the green you saw, who winds up Haley, who winds up trapped in this cabin with Alex. and she finds out that she's stuck there because they can't leave the area because of some barrier that exists there. And if they die within the barrier, they return to the place that they originally died, and they just keep respawning there over and over and over again. But out in the woods, during the day, there are things that will grab you and try to like restrain you and trap you, and then there are things at night that come out and just splatter movie kill you. The night things themselves. And if you die, and if the night things kill you, you don't come back. So it all comes down to how the gas is running out of the generator, and the lights are beginning to dim, and they got to find a way to escape before, you know, they lose everything, and then the night things come and kill them all. The film in and of itself is pretty low budget, as you saw from the trailer, but I wouldn't let that detract you away from checking this movie out. Now, it is available via Tubi, so you can go and watch it free from there. I found it I found it to be quite an inspired effort. So Ward Crockett, it was one of his earlier films, and he's a successful award-winning director who's done some stuff. Who's gotten into the H.P. Lovecraft Festival. You can kind of see the Lovecraftian inspirations all over this film, as far as the atmosphere that he was creating and the blending between horror and sci-fi, and there was some things that were left somewhat ambiguous, so you kind of have to put these things together. There's a couple of things plot-wise that I think just a little too, they're presented a little too convenient, like the girl that gets trapped that eventually gets them out of the situation happens to be a physics graduate at the local college. She just happened to be running out there at the time, and then of course, why things happen the way they do. They dance around the science, but more it's about trying to escape the nasty things out there. Ward does a really, really compelling job in the way he shoots it, despite the very, very limited budget. He put the money where the money needed to be, which was really, really smart. So it's in the day things, in encapsulating what you never really see what the night things are, because that's an important aspect. But they can take human form and kind of lure you into the darkness, and they can kind of like grab you and stuff, and so conveying that was really, really smart. There was what's interesting is that so the film itself, and I'm going to just like say this straight out. The film itself reminded me very much of a current series that is on Epix right now. So on Epix there is a series called From, and From entails essentially the same kind of thing. To me, the similarities between the two were somewhat disturbing, because From is essentially about a family that is driving across country, and they wind up in this little kind of town that they can't escape. Every time there's only one road through the town. When they drive out one side, they wind up back on the same road. So it's like a loop, like playing Pac-Man. You go out one side, you come in the other one. And so they're stuck in this town, and there are many, many people in the town, and they're trapped there, and they can't leave. And it seems like the power that's like all the electricity that's coming from this place doesn't come from anywhere. It's just there. There are also weird things in the woods and weird sounds, and of course, when night falls, they have to board everything up, and they can't open the doors for anything because there are what look like people out in the woods that splatter movie kill you, and we're talking violently and gorily. If anybody ever is caught by them. So they'll whisper to you, and they'll try to get you to open the windows and open the doors. And if you do, or if they get inside, then they just kill everyone in their paths. So this film, Night Things, it was From is eerily similar to it. It's the same thing, only in Night Things, it's a kind of like energy barrier. What they describe as kind of like a dark matter barrier, where matter can't interact with it, so it can't pass through it. So you have to shut down the thing that's creating the barrier in order to get out of the barrier. And as it turns out, it's not really a barrier. What it is a transportation device, or a teleportation device. And it was designed to teleport someone somewhere else, because that's something that was really cool. And someone brought up that there's a lot of inspiration that it reminded them of Blair Witch meets Evil Dead and Pitch Black. There's definitely Evil Dead inspirations there, and there's definitely Pitch Black inspirations there as well. But I contacted Ward. So I talked to the director, I emailed the director, and I wanted to get his take on what he thought. So because essentially I was kind of like, do you have any like insights or comments as to like how similar From is to what you're doing. Because From does the same thing. Eerie noises out there, things that will kill you at night, no discernible reason as to why this thing exists or why anybody is currently trapped in it. There's no real scientific explanation, and there's obviously things out there that, can't be explained. There's a deeper, broader mystery as to what is going on. And Ward hit back to me, and he thanked me for reaching out and said, thank you for considering Night Things. Absolutely. And he actually hadn't heard of the series From. So I let him know about it, and he said he's definitely going to check it out. And he said he remembered, so predominantly Night Things was drawn from, this is from Ward himself, was drawn from a script. When he wrote the script 2006, 2007, it was drawn from kind of a Twilight Zone episode where people were trapped in a town that kind of looped back in on itself. So the Creature in the Darkness stuff, inspired by Pitch Black, and of course Darkness Falls. And then the ending is definitely, obviously, an allusion to the Quiet Earth. Lots of Evil Dead references as well. And he found it really, really interesting how the creative kind of ether kind of, references itself and goes back and forth and does that. How these things just kind of like happen. I'm not saying that the guy who created From, took directly from Night Things, but that's the strength right there. Even if that were to have occurred, that should definitely put more of an emphasis on the strength of what Ward was doing with this film, and what he tried to do with this movie. There's a lot of really strong concepts in Night Things that I think offer some really, really good, really good points of thought, or really good questions to ask, and a little bit of ambiguity so people can kind of draw their own conclusions about stuff. I think it was really, really smartly done, and so I don't think anybody should miss it, especially if it did go on to inspire such a fantastic series as From. And that's why I think that Night Things was a little bit better. I think Johnny expected me to kind of polish it a little bit. It's like, no. There was definitely, the only thing that stood in Ward's way was just a lack of budget. And that happens sometimes. But he was able to convey what he did. The cinematography, how he shot it, how he framed everything, all of it was really, really solid. I enjoyed it very, very much. And I was like, oh, I could definitely see these kind of Lovecraftian influences and what he's trying to go with. I found it intriguing that the villains in it, the little, the day things, the way they look very, very similar. I think he took that creature design from The Prophecy. The demons that show up with Viggo Mortensen when he played Lucifer in The Prophecy, because they look almost identical. So I think there was some inspiration there, with the bands around their eyes so they can't see, in the hood, the brown hoods and shit, and the pale skin. So I'm pretty sure there's some inspiration there. But you'll see all the little tidbits of really smart decisions that Ward has done, which goes to show, I mean, his later stuff has won a wide variety of awards. So a really good early opener in a director's career, in a director and writer's career, that really shows the kind of vision that goes behind making stuff like this and really trying to encapsulate a solid film. Leon Richard has a question about the Daily Splatter. Are the film recommendations based upon the fact that the films were released on that day, or are they posted because they are deemed good by Weekend Horror? No, they are based on the fact that they were released that day, and no film has been repeated. So every single day has a film that was released, whether it was good or it was bad. It has a film that was released that day in horror history, and so far. Not a film has been repeated, because I mark them all when I use them for the Daily Splatter. I mark them in the horror database. Let me see. I forgot this is Scuba Cat. I forgot this is Week in Horror. Yeah, Fred, it's kind of like the Morlocks a little bit. And Rodin says remind me a bit of M. Night's The Village as well. There's a lot of similarities there, and because when you're trying to create certain atmospheres, there's certain things you do, especially when you have a low budget. So it's all about how you handle your light, and all about how you handle your sound. Now I know that there will be some criticisms as to the sound in this, but sound is incredibly difficult, especially when you're shooting out in the woods, and when you're on location like that, out there in the wilderness, you're trying to use one single location, the cabin, and people are running around. Yes, sound is incredibly difficult. You have to have a really solid sound guy. So despite all the problems that presented, I thought that Ward and his crew did a really solid job of trying to overcome those. There's some areas where you just can't. Ambient noise is a bitch. There's a time when the crickets obviously were out there, singing, doing their thing, and you just can't drown. You can't make that go away. So, unless you choose to not shoot that night, and then you lose a night, which you just can't afford to do when you're operating on such a low budget. Personally, I mean, this is why some directors will choose to film when they're filming outdoors. They'll film during the winter when it's a lot colder for your actors, but then you don't get a lot of the nature stuff unless it's really, really windy. But if you get one of those kind of like where the air is still, there's no insects going on, you can film at night. And yeah, you may have some breath and everything like this, but ultimately you reduce the problems that you have. So sometimes you'll see that happen a lot in television. In television, when they're filming outdoors, they're filming on outdoor sets, they'll usually film when it's very cold. And you can see the actor's breath when they do that. So I thought this was really, really smartly done. Okay, Scuba Cat was checking out my personal channel. Gotcha. Because I said alarm. Let me see here. Oh, see, yep. People seeing the video. Yep. Worthy of I would say, Rodent, that yes. I would say if Ward got the opportunity to remake this one or to do a sequel to it, because this thing is like I said, the ending is very similar to This Quiet Earth, where it's not really about things changing things on this planet. It's literally the device turns out to be a transportation device. So at the end, it's this ambiguous ending where all of a sudden the area where she was at gets moved somewhere else, and it's like, what the hell? And that's when it gets the movies like The Void are very, very similar, kind of running this deal where there's some higher technology or like cosmic whatever, because they find the technology at the bottom of like an archaeological dig. And so then they use it, and then this is what it turns into from here. So in that respect, I like what he was going for, and I think a higher budget remake would definitely be worth it. He told me that he was kind of interested in possibly doing a sequel if he could ever get the funding, and I think it would warrant a sequel with a bit stronger budget so we could explore the universe he wanted to create in that. But you can definitely tell if you're a big fan of Lovecraft, if you're a big fan of like movies like Pitch Black, or if you've seen the series From, which I strongly recommend. Fantastic performance from Harold Perrineau. You know him from World War Z. You know him from Z Nation, and a number of other. He was in the sequel to The Matrix. But a fantastic performance from Harold Perrineau and the ensemble cast in that. So I strongly recommend it. It's just impossible to deny the connective tissue between Night Things, which came out in, it said 2009, was 2010 release, and then of course From, which came out in 2021. So, that's 11 years later. Huh? Is that possible? Maybe? I don't know. So, but you'll see like, huh. Yeah, Ward's basically kind of like, yeah, it's weird how, people kind of like pull things out of the ether. They pull the same thing at different times. Like, I saw this one. It's a little, because there's even some shots that are utilized in Night Things that Ward did in Night Things that are replicated in From. So I'm just gonna say that. But that should only say, go and check out Night Things so you can see the kind of like what Ward was going for, and you can see his vision on film. Like I said, it's free. You can watch it on Tubi. It's not a problem there. So a great place to check that out. CPM is here in the chat. Good to see you. And I saw Scuba Cat as well. And NA has shown up. Good to see you. Leanne Richard Pitch Black is that Vin Diesel film where they're trapped on the planet with the alien creatures that only come out when the suns go down. And then the planet is locked in an eclipse where there's no sunlight for an extended period of time. Then these like underground creatures come out because they're allergic to the sun. So they come out at night, and then that's when they feed. And then this crew crash lands on this planet just before the eclipse occurs. And before they can get off, the sun's set, and then it's a survival deal. That's where they introduced the character Riddick, the guy who Vin Diesel's character Riddick from Chronicles of Riddick, Pitch Black, or Riddick, stuff like that. So hopefully, and they're supposed to get a fourth one here pretty soon. Hope so. Denova, yes, The Void was fantastic, and Phantasm, yeah, a little bit. There's a lot of good, strong inspiration. Very Raimi. A lot of really, really cool stuff here. You see all the kind of like the legendary directors, kind of like inspirations there, their fingerprints there, which I really, really dig. Hey, go with what you know. And if something inspires you, run with it. Absolutely run with it. Oh, let me see. Make sure I didn't miss anybody else. Did we put Pitch Black on your list? Low budget sci-fi horror, but extremely well done. David Twohy is an amazing director and an amazing writer. I love David Twohy. One of my favorite, even though I love the Riddick series, my absolute favorite David Twohy work was The Arrival with Charlie Sheen, because it was just a fantastic sci-fi film that was very well, very, very grounded, really well done. Just a good classic alien invasion flick. Definitely check out The Arrival if you get the chance. Oh, and Night Things is apparently on Amazon Prime as well. But if you don't want to rent it, then you can watch it on Tubi. And actually, Tubi's actually better. Tubi, even though there's ads, Tubi actually pays its content people, the people who drop content there, it pays them better. So if you watch it on Tubi, you benefit Ward a little bit more. So, absolutely. Yeah, The Arrival was really good. So, but yeah, definitely check it out. Night Things, released back, like I said, back in 2010 when it came out. You can definitely check out From. It's on Epix if you're subscribed to Epix, so you can check that out. It just recently got renewed for season 2. You can see the kind of connective tissue between the two, but definitely check out Night Things while you have the opportunity, because you'll see where some really strong inspirations are. And especially if you're a burgeoning filmmaker, great ideas there. Great, fantastic ideas. Now, my question is, and you may not be able to answer this just yet, but my question for the audience is, when you go and watch Night Things, if you haven't already, and you go and watch From, I want to know your thoughts. Was From taken from Night Things? Did somebody watch that? Did the guy who created From see Night Things, said, I can do that, and just did it differently and changed enough stuff to kind of make it unique? Or is this kind of an example of creativity, of kind of like the creative ether kind of overlapping and people pulling the same things? We don't know, but possibly. But I want to know your thoughts after you watch the two. Watch the first season of From and watch Night Things. Let me know what you think down in comments below, or of course at weekinhorror@gmail.com. Travis Brown says, I know it was from Night Things. Definitely. All right. So here we go. Aaron. Oh, no, this was supposed to be Aaron Steele. So, sorry, I don't know why I just read Aaron. I'm looking at the script. Joshua Lee says, doing okay. Oh, Joshua Lee, good to see you, bud. Says, doing okay. Had a long day, so now I'm enjoying relaxing and watching this. Fantastic. It's just me tonight, so hopefully I'll deliver. I'll deliver the goods. Let me see. Here we go. So our next film that we're going to talk about, and this is the one I know Johnny really wanted to be here for, because this one I've got some commentary on. I really do. So this film released December 15th. 2009, we have Mental Scars. Ooh. Let's check out this trailer. I guess it's a trailer.
This land, it belongs to Mother Earth.
What can I help you with?
I've had a few strange things happen to me, and it all seems to be leading back to the Taggart family.
Strange things always lead back to them.
Your letter of eviction will be right here on your doorstep. Y'all be out tomorrow.
He's an ugly detour!
He's your brother.
Good afternoon, everyone. Finally, the moment we've all been waiting for, the final sketch.
Is your company building a parking lot at that old junkyard?
I just work for them. I'm their accountant.
The place has a very dark history.
I'm sure Brian will let you know about the little conversation we had regarding your hidden agenda.
I'm through with you and this company.
You're not going to find this kind of pay anyplace else in the city.
It's all there.
The tribe will continue to fight to preserve what belongs to them.
There was this guy over there who's staring at me.
So I see profits are down.
What the?
We're just gonna have to be a little more selective about who we bring in.
Man, I got a real weird feeling about this place.
I got a bad feeling about this.
So why is the Taggart automotive sign still out and not Lanucci Development?
Why is that any of your concern? I broke my ass to get where I am in this business. It would be wise if you forgot what you just read.
I ain't going out like this.
Silence.
Sonia Garlic looks bad, doesn't even begin to describe.
Doesn't even be. I can tell you this. I can tell you this. The editing on that trailer was better than the editing in the movie. I can give you that. that's what's truly shocking.
Truly
wow,
shocking,
you're here.
They thought that it was worth a 10-year anniversary director's cut.
Which is the one I caught on YouTube. It's the one I watched. Wow. So I see that Johnny's here. Johnny couldn't resist. He had to pop in. Are the kids okay?
I don't know. Maybe the flu. Maybe not. We'll see.
Okay. Did you just pop in? You just popped in just for this one?
Well, everybody started to get settled down and into their respective places. So I figured I would pop in at the most inopportune time.
Right in the middle of the trailer. So, yeah. So anyway, directed by Misha Perez and written by John Oak Dalton and Richard Miles, who did the original screenplay, starring Teresa Alexandria, Caitlin Banks, and Austin Bundari. We have mental scars. So essentially,
yes, we do.
Okay, we do. The film actually gave me mental scars. So the film itself centers around this shady business lady who's the chick in the white that you saw in the film. Who's the shady business chick who's running a scam about turning this local junkyard into a parking lot. She's got investors who got money coming in, but it's all a big scam. People are aware of it, and she's duping these investors. But it turns out that the junkyard itself was built on an ancient burial ground, an ancient Native American burial ground, and the spirits of that have infected a person who used to this guy who lived on the property, and now he's a slasher running around killing everyone. And it's the
absolute worst. The idea of it's a ancient Indian burial ground, and then this movie does not know what it wants to be.
This is true.
Does it want to be your typical slasher, or does it want to be some sort of like fucking poltergeist? It doesn't know what it wants to be. It's so bad. It is so bad. I didn't know movies could be so. I didn't think it'd be this shitty. And I have seen Mono's Hands of Fate.
Yes, at least Monos. I don't think Monos ever really took itself that seriously, which is why it's entertaining. Because when a movie tries to take itself really, really seriously, especially a movie like this with the budget you've got and the story you've got, when literally the entire film is just a collection of tropes all thrown together and no budget to actually back it off. And I think, and not to mention, there's what I think, and my kind of take on this, watching this, and the thing that really aggravated me the most was not only is the film just crap, it's just a waste of everybody's time, a waste of the money that went into it, and we're gonna get into the whole Sonny Landham thing. And yes, that's Billy, the actor who played Billy from.
And it's so over the top racist.
We're gonna get to that, but the biggest issue that I have here was the ego. The ego was very, very apparent in this movie. The ego of the director or the writers or whatever was going on. There was way too much self in order to tell the story, which is what got in the way, which is why the film doesn't know what the fuck it wants to be. This feels like too many cooks in the kitchen and too many people thinking that what I want is what's going to happen. And then it's going to happen regardless of whatever, which is why the editing was such shit in the film. Scenes linger for too long. Action drops off just precipitously.
And weird things. The one scene that everybody wanted to see was 30 seconds long. We all know what we're talking about. The dream sequence. Everybody wanted to see that, but they're like, we're done.
So legit. And Rodan is saying this was a torture for me as well, because I had to sit through this as well, and it was absolute. The film in and of itself is abominable. It's abominable for a number of reasons. Like I said, first and foremost, ego. Ego was the big thing that got in the way of this. How do I know? How can I say that is because people thinking that they know better than what works, and they're going to try and reinvent the wheel when it comes to basic horror tropes, basic little things that you do in basic standard filmmaking. For example, using things that are completely inappropriate. So, for example, the whole sequence when we're shooting and the boss lady, the chick is talking to the employee, and we saw them talking back to each other. He does this whole fucking Brian De Palma down the barrel shooting, which was why are you doing this? Number one, the scene is not emotional enough for people to connect on that level. you see that what I'm talking about. So I know Johnny was talking about when you're shooting down the barrel of the lens with the actors looking directly into the camera, and you go back and forth between two people doing that. Yeah, that was really. That was used to great effect in movies like Silence of the Lambs, in movies in Philadelphia. Philadelphia had those moments in between Tom Hanks and Denzel, and also in the movie Fallen, because it would have moments where Denzel's character is talking to the demon, and it keeps switching. So we look directly into the camera, and then he looks back at the person. So that's what you're trying to convey.
Which is a beautiful camera trick in Fallen, specifically for many reasons. One being, the first voice you hear at the beginning of Fallen is Denzel Washington's talking about how he almost died.
Right.
That it plays so beautifully well into the misdirection of the end of the film. But
it's autobiographical, just not the autobiography that you're thinking of.
Exactly. However, in Mental Scars, they're like, hey, that looks like a cool camera thing. Let's just throw
that's
this
a cool
shit
camera
in here.
trick, right? And it's a complete misuse of why that's done. When you want to shoot, and you're shooting content like you're shooting a scene where the character's looking directly into the camera, the characters, ostensibly what you're conveying is the intensity of the moment. We're looking right into their eyes. They're looking right back into ours. That is when you convey really, really deep emotion or deep, deep subtext, which is why it works so well in Silence of the Lambs when Hannibal is looking directly into the camera and Jodie Foster's looking directly back at him, because especially in that final sequence when they're going through her kind of therapy session. Okay, when they're going through that, they need to be able to convey that, and that's that power is there.
Importantly, the film has earned that.
It's earned that. It's true.
That from
it is
us, the watcher, because you have this. The beginning of it, you kind of get a little bit of a glimpse of that, through looking through the glass, right? So you get Hannibal Lecter and his unblinking, unbreathing stare as Jodie Foster walks up.
It's when she walks into the little vestibule, into the little alcove before she goes down, and she's looking around the room, and she's like seeing everything, and then she looks directly at Barney, and Barney's looking right at her.
Yeah,
and so that moment was beautiful.
Right.
So.
But all that stuff worked, right? So it was very well crafted into that final. Now you can be, you're getting the lesson from, Clarice Starling, and then it's Hannibal Lecter. Then it's so meticulously done. And if it was an accident, it's one of the greatest accidents to ever been caught on film. Whereas in Mental Scars, there's no reason why I should give a shit about any of these characters.
Right.
Number one,
it's almost like a manipulation. Like it's trying to force us to view this scene with a particular level of investment that has not been earned, and neither of these characters and they don't even really have arcs. Like these characters don't even really have arcs.
Everything's flat. Everything is flat.
Everything is flat.
It's so bad.
Everybody's one-dimensional, and the acting in and of itself is actually quite atrocious. There was one scene, out of the entire film that I felt was honestly portrayed as actors, and that was when the guy in the business attire, the black guy sneaks up on him and spooks him, and then they have their conversation. I saw a guy standing over there. Their interaction, there's like one moment in all of that interaction, that conversation they had, there was one moment that was legitimately done, and it was an honest. I was like, okay, that was legitimate acting. Everything else is just crap. Everything else is
because again,
I think he tells a joke. Like he makes some comment about, okay, hey, let's go ahead and get out of here like this. And it's literally just let's move to the next scene. That's all it is. But it was well delivered, and it was the only well delivered moment in the entire thing. Everything is overwrought. Everything takes itself too seriously, and it was absolutely terrible. Now, that being said, structurally wise, technical wise, the film is atrocious. They don't know how to utilize their environment. They obviously were shooting in a functioning, working junkyard.
Right.
So not some abandoned place have been there. So because you can tell, because all the cars have things written on them to indicate when they're going to be taken, whatever. So
crushed,
they don't know how to use. They didn't know how to use their environment. They didn't know how to use their set.
Shit. Here you are. You're working on this working junkyard. You have built-in set design. You don't have to do shit when it comes to set design, except maybe kind of work out some reflection issues or whatever. And you fuck up this bad.
And you fucked it up that bad. Like I said, the acting is terrible. The writing is terrible. The story doesn't know what it wants to be. Too many egos. Technically, it was bad. Sound was bad. Lighting was terrible. Things were bright when they should have been dark. Things were dark when they should have been bright. The kills were lackluster. They could have been better. There was maybe one. There was one that I thought was good. The Great in the Face, I thought was okay. And
I thought
the
that
dude,
was supposed, you talking about the girl, right?
The girl, yeah, when she gets the
like a fucking toaster oven type shit.
I honestly don't know. But the pop up, what the fuck? Blah! That actually got a laugh out of me. That was funny.
That was funny. So the one where the black guy comes out. He's
but no. But it got it got a laugh out of me because he killed him with a fucking like crescent wrench that was like this big. I was like, what are you doing?
You're not gonna hit me with that shit. You're gonna piss me off.
You're gonna piss me off. I was like, come on, pipe wrench, man. Get more like a 1-inch wrench. Give me something solid. It's like, no, crescent wrench I pulled out of my toolbox. Pow!
So there was one where the I can't remember the character's name because I don't give a shit. But the black guy, he's like, all right, I'm not going out like this. And he takes his shirt off. I think the only reason why he takes his shirt off is so they don't have to. I think they borrowed that shirt from somebody else's wardrobe and had to return that shit because it made no fucking sense whatsoever.
I don't know why. He strips his shirt. He's like, I'm going to strip my shirt off. I'm not going out like this. And then promptly gets killed, which is hilarious. But, okay, and yes, sarcasm. The blonde hiding in the middle of the well-lit open area between the rows of cars. Yes, is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. But here's the big thing. And here's the biggest problem with this fucking thing. Number one, they have the money to cast Sonny Landham. So anybody familiar with Sonny Landham knows he played Billy in Predator, okay? One of my favorite characters ever in a sci-fi horror film. There's something out there hunting us, and it ain't no man. Billy was great. Ensemble cast, he works well. But Billy is also of Indigenous American descent. This film, I can't tell if it was overt or accidental, but the racist overtones in their depiction of Indigenous Americans was beyond the pale. I have seen bad stuff, but
I'm going to throw them a bone and say they were just too stupid to realize what they were doing was just atrociously
racist.
I mean,
how Sonny put up with this as an actor, I have no idea. Was he that? Do you think he was that hard up?
When did he pass? Sonny passed in what, 2017? Maybe he was that hard up for cash. Maybe
Sonny Landham. He passed August 2017.
2017. This, I don't know, man. This was what, 2009, the original 2009. So maybe he knew he was gonna. I don't know. Maybe he's like, hey, I gotta eat today. Hey guys.
I don't know. It was embarrassing to that respect. Not to mention when they're doing the whole they're showing the flashback sequences around the campfire of the Indigenous Americans.
Which was weird. We all sacrificed ourselves here to make sure that we would protect our way of life, and then something else kills all of them. Like, what?
I was a little confused in that one. I think it was a matter of it was a sacrifice in order to make sure the land stayed there. So I'm not 100% sure because, like I said, the film, like you said, the film doesn't know what the fuck it wants to be.
Yeah.
Whether or if it's even trying to say anything. Is there some sort of overt? Because they shoehorn the slasher into it, the ghost aspect, the possession aspect, and then what this, why is the killer all bandaged up? We have no clue why he keeps playing with his hair in every fucking scene. I have no idea.
It's because of childhood trauma. Some reason this kid has he's mentally scarred. He has some childhood trauma. And now the spirits of the Navajo have possessed him to keep this sacred junkyard safe.
Sacred junkyard.
Fuck.
It's really, really bad.
Stupid.
A decided lack of vision. But the big thing on this one is obviously you watch it because it's just so ridiculously bad. So if you were also a filmmaker, you wanted to see what absolutely not to do and the choices, what not to make. I mean, sure, all of the horror tropes are there. There's kills, there's gore, there's ghosts, there's a slasher, there's titties. An all too abbreviated sex scene
movie, and you get 30 seconds of boobs.
And then of course an ending that was actually, it was more confusing. I couldn't tell that was happening. That was like showing what was leading up to the opening events. I'm not 100%.
I don't get it either.
So
hey, I kidnapped this baby for you. Go do what you're gonna do with it. Okay. Yeah.
What? I'm not 100% sure. This was very, very weird. But yeah, this is the reason why when not everybody can do film. And it shows exactly the mentality that you don't take going into this. When you have the money to secure someone like Sonny Landham, when you have the money to produce, doesn't matter. When you have the money to make your movie, making the movie, and you're unfortunately going to get this. Movies should not be love letters to the director's self. Like, no. Look at this fucking movie. There's a reason.
Unless you're fucking what's his name? Unless you're Oliver Stone, don't do that shit.
Or unless you're James Cameron.
Or James Cameron.
So unless you're James Cameron and you have the skill to be able to back that up.
Right.
Unfortunately, he does not. Which is why you don't see much from anybody that was associated with this one, because it was beyond terrible. Yeah, it's like would be perfect. Like a CPM says, "Mental Scar" is such a good title too. Would be a perfect for like a psych thriller with a gaslighting couple. That could be.
Yeah,
that's more interesting. That really is. But Brian Powell says, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this movie, JL?
I need to ask the metrics of the rubric, please. Is 1 the best, or is 10 the best? I need to know that. Okay, before I can answer that question, I need to know if 1 is the best or if 10 is the best. Let me know, Brian.
I think I think we can assume 1.
I don't want to assume. I want to make sure, because I don't want to accidentally give this fucking movie a rousing fucking review.
There's no way. I mean, if 1 is the worst and 10 is the best, this thing
negative
definitely
150.
is
negative infinity sign. Okay,
is negative. Is like negative numbers, or can we go negatives? I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, I would only watch this one. I would only recommend this one for anybody who is getting into the film. Who's essentially okay. I would actually, if I was teaching a course and teaching and talking about like film theory, okay, I would actually use this as an example. And there are many other examples, but this is a good one of how not to approach the art of filming, or even the science of filming, how not to approach the industry. Movies like this are approached by people who have legitimately, I just want to say I got a movie under my belt and I did a movie and I don't care how I fucking did it. It's a waste of money, it's a waste of time, it doesn't further anybody's career. In fact, it damages people more than anything else, not to mention it's more likely just going to piss people off just because of its depictions. If you're going to depict Native American or indigenous Americans on film, don't have them sitting around a campfire with feathers in their friggin' hair, with no shirts on and white slacks. That's not how you do it, my friend. Wow. So yeah, it's then it's below the worst. Like I said, I would only use this film as a teaching example of what absolutely not to do, and it's not a matter of what not to do technically. It's what not to do as just a damn filmmaker. Yeah. Don't come into it with this fucking attitude like you're gonna reinvent the wheel, especially when you're working with probably $10,000 to $15,000, whatever they were working with on this one, filming in people's homes, filming in places that you have free access to, whatever in that respect. It's just
this is what happens when you don't have a producer to rein in, right? So every now and again, we like to talk shit about producers, but this movie needed a real producer, to somebody to come in and look at the script treatment and be like, no, this doesn't work. No, this needs to be reworked. No, we need to rethink this. No, no. Somebody needed to tell this guy no.
This is why there are production meetings before you go into production. This is why so everybody's on the same damn page. This is why you create a production Bible, so that and the director has a production Bible and the script supervisor has a production Bible. Everybody, so the people that need one have one. And then when you go into the editing room, you have the production Bible with all of the notes throughout every single scene about like where we need to cut this, what we need to do with this, convey this, and everybody. That's the difficulty in this. Logistics is always a bitch when you're trying to make movies. Especially when you've got like serious budgets, when you've got tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars that you're working with, logistics is always a pain in the ass. And the more you want to convey in your film, or the more intricate your movie is, the harder those are going to be. Because then you're not just coordinating. The pieces moving on the board are intense. So you've got your actors, you've got your crew, you've got your units, you've got the people behind the camera, you've got everything you've got to deal with, and then put it all together into a coherent narrative when you're in the editing suite. This thing, not great, because this is what happens when you just go out there and you just fucking do your thing. And I feel bad for whoever produced this bad boy because that money is gone.
Just down the drain.
Down the drain.
I don't even think they've made enough in YouTube ad revenue to. I don't think they made any money in YouTube ad revenue to justify this shit.
This Travis Brown, while I love MST3K, this movie doesn't deserve an MST3K. It wouldn't deserve it.
So bad. It's
that wrong. It's just that bad.
It's just so bad.
Right. So, of course, there was a director's cut, which I don't even want to watch the original to see what was added because it's not like because that means there was less in the film. So,
I'm kind of upset that I didn't get the original film, so I wouldn't have had to watch as much.
This is true. This is true. Overly long, overly annoying, and just badly done.
Okay, so Tony Regime asked a really good question. What if you don't want your unit put into a coherent narrative? There are good ways and there are bad ways to do that. This is a bad way to not have a coherent narrative.
Right.
Just terrible. It's just awful.
So, like we said before,
it's like they took all the dailies, right? And they took all the dailies and had it in a plate, and they just threw that plate up. And wherever they landed, they just picked it up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then boom, they put let's put it like this. So
like we initially stated, the film, like Mental Scars in and of itself, is just a collection of horror tropes. It's just all the things that work in horror, and they just slapped them all together and just kind of gave it a framing narrative, this really badly thought out, badly acted, badly written narrative. And while we applaud them for getting a film in the can, that is begrudgingly given because this movie was made for all the wrong reasons. Is that you can see it. And I mean, I know I'm speaking as a seasoned filmmaker when I can watch a film, and I know Johnny see this as well. Eugene probably would see it as well. I know Aaron certainly did. When watching a film like this, and you've watched as many as we have, and you've worked on films, and you recognize certain things, there are things that stand out to us from having seen the sausage made to be like, I know why they made that choice, or I know why the director decided to leave that there, or I know why this happened. When you don't trust the people that you're working with, and then everybody's got to micromanage everybody, especially when it's the director, because it's my vision, I'm going to make it happen. And the director is sitting there in the editing suite, and he's telling the editor, no, don't do this, because he doesn't trust the editor to do it correctly. This is when it becomes problematic, and there's wrong all over this one. Watch it solely as an example of what never ever to do and what kind of mindset you never have when going in and you're doing a team project like making a movie. So, but because it is a collection of horror tropes, and I found that interesting, the only thing I found interesting about this was there were so many in it. But I want to ask the audience, what is your favorite horror trope, the one that you like to see the most in your horror films? What attracts you to horror the most? Which horror trope do you dig? And it could, of all of them that are out there, let us know down in the comments below, or of course here in the live chat, or at weekinhorror@gmail.com. What is your favorite horror trope, the one that you look forward to the most in the horror films you watch?
Boobs.
I'm a sucker for the twist. I'm a sucker for the third act twist. It's
got to be a good one though. It can't.
It's got to be good, right? It lives and dies on it. Yeah. So like Sir Cab said, zombies, the undead.
All right, yeah, ghouls.
There you
go. I thought that was great. A lot of people gave that movie shit with Bill Murray and Adam Driver.
Oh, you talking about
yeah, ghouls.
Oh. No. It was Bill Murray, Adam Driver, Chloe Sevigny, Jim Jarmusch's The Dead Don't Die.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
that's it. And people are like, this movie's so weird. Have you not seen Jim Jarmusch's work? It's like when your secondary character is like, why aren't you freaking out about this? Oh, because I read the script.
Yeah.
What? So yes.
Yeah.
That's Jim Jarmusch's stuff. So if you're not ready for Jim Jarmusch and you've got like the katana-wielding dentist played by Tilda Swinton, who's not surprised by anything going on and then gets picked up by the aliens at the end of the movie, that's not even a spoiler. That's not even a spoiler for Jim Jarmusch's Dead Don't Die. That's how weird it is.
Yeah. So back to twists, I gotta say, it has to be earned. You can't just twist for the sake of twisting. It's like the fucking Saw franchise, just we have to end with a twist. So no, you don't.
Ooh, Tony Regime, Ancient Evil and Cult of Doom tropes. I like Ancient Evil tropes. Psychological Ghosts for Angel Rivera. The Ignorant Unleashing the Evil. Ignorance unleashing the evil, a la Evil Dead. Fantastic. Yep. Oh, Sir Kevin says, I also love it when the humans are the real monsters. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Where the thing is on screen, but you don't see it till it's too late. Oh, that's cool. Oh, Joshua Lee says, the we're fucked trope. Yep. Oh, fantastic stuff. I love the twist, and the two things that solidified that for me were, and I know it's going to sound cliche, was M. Night Shyamalan's The Sixth Sense, because despite the fact that it was very obvious on the second viewing, the first viewing is like, it obviously blew everybody away. You know, people are like, oh, I figured it out. It's like, fuck no, man. That movie did $600 million, open-wide. Yeah. So nobody figured that out because Haley Joel Osment, Bruce Willis, knocking it out of the park.
I feel so
and Toni Collette. Oh, shit, Toni Collette.
She is an unappreciated gem.
Oh, yes.
Fucking
not just Hereditary, but if anybody ever gets a chance to see her in United States of Terror, holy shit, she was good. Fuck, that woman is...
She's one of the... Again, she is the most underappreciated actress.
Yeah. So, the other one was the video game BioShock, because the twist in the original BioShock, the twist in that one, I had to pause the game. I had to stop and like, what the fuck? Because everything that went down goes. It's a third act twist when it's revealed that, I don't know if I should spoil that. Well, it's an old game. This came out like early 2000s.
Yeah, we're past the 5 year. I don't think anybody.
Okay, so but in BioShock, you're playing the main character. It's a first person shooter. You do your own thing. You're going. Basically, there's a person you're trying to get to, and they're talking to you over a radio, and they're helping you through your missions and telling you what you need to do, and blah 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 blah. And he keeps, and the guy over the radio will ask you, so we need to go and do this. Would you kindly go over there and blah 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 blah. So then you go and you do it, and that's it. But then the twist is, the guy who's been talking to you set the whole thing up. You're a pawn in his game, and you were. It was all designed from the get-go. Yeah. And the "would you kindly" is a hypnotic suggestion to get you to do what he wants you to do.
Right.
So, and I was like, oh my god! Pause.
Yep. I suck. I've been duped.
So yeah, that kind of that blew me away. There's brilliant writing there. All right, so, but yeah, definitely let us know what your favorite trope is. Looking forward to hearing about that. So, do you want to take this next one?
We'll do this next one. I didn't get to watch the last one because, dealing with all these people. But this one here I've seen before. And obviously, we're talking about the 2003 direct-to-DVD horror film, Puppet Master: The Legacy. I love these fucking movies.
Whatever Toulon's hiding, this looks like a great place to find it.
What is this?
This is a robbery, Mr. Hurst.
Don't you know anything about Andre Toulon?
I know he had a secret, and I know that he passed it on to you, and that could be your death sentence.
You'll never control those creatures. They're mine!
All they want is revenge on their puppet master. And now that's you. Congratulations on your legacy.
All right, so this is Puppet Master: The Legacy, directed by Charles Band, written by C. Courtney Joyner and David Schmoller, starring Jacob Whitkin and Kate Orsini. I gotta say, really quick, at the Bodega Bay in Bodega Bay, California. What other two films? Anybody? rogue agent McLean reads Andre Toulon's diary, hoping to find some secret formula, but it blows up because reasons. And then she finds Eric Weiss talking to the last of the puppets: Blade, Pinhead, Jester, Tunneler, and Six Shooter. And then it's like traditional, typical puppet master formula awesomeness. Puppets come to life, murder a bunch of people. It's just fun. These are just fun movies. They're just fun movies. The plot, who gives a shit, right? A bunch of people show up. They're killing fodder for little puppets. That's all you need to know, right? And if you don't, if that plot sounds stupid to you, then don't watch these movies. You're not going to enjoy yourself. If you go into a Puppet Master movie thinking, I'm going to see some terrific cinema, you're not. It's not for you. Trust me, they're fun. They're just fun movies.
Okay, so yes, they are fun. Okay, and while I love the overarching narrative, I love the narrative how the puppets start out as villains, and then they come and then they turn into like anti-heroes, and they turn into heroes, and then back into like anti-heroes. It's weird. So there's an interesting
I
arc
like how they use that where the puppets kind of they bond with whoever's controlling them at the time. So if it's a good person, they're going to be good. If it's a not so good person, they're going to be kind of dickish and murdery.
So in this particular one, this is the 8th film released in the franchise itself, and it's a sequel to Puppet Master 5. It's a direct sequel to 1994's Puppet Master 5, and the thing that gets me, so the characters in themselves, the two human characters that appear in this one, the guy is essentially the old man, the grown-up version of the child that was in Puppet Master 3. When we see like the origins of what happened with Toulon's wife, and then the puppets that he has, and how the Nazis came in and tried to take over everything, and arguably what I think is the best overall of all of the Puppet Master films, because it shows the origin of Blade, which I thought was really, really cool, and there's just really, just overall it's an interesting story. It doesn't get too much into the backstory, but goes into how the Nazis made Toulon the monster that he became.
Right.
So, and this film in and of itself is the reason I bring it. I question whether or not it's a film at all, because the film, all the kills that Johnny talked about, everything in this, everything is a flashback to to the previous 7 movies. Essentially, she breaks in to get the secret of Toulon's magic, to like figure out what it is. Because her intention is to find a way to stop it, because the puppets themselves don't want to live like that anymore. They don't want to be trapped in these puppet bodies any longer, and they want to die. They want to move on. So the secret in the magic may reveal the secret that makes the magic may reveal how to literally kill them and stop them. And so she's broken in there to figure this out. She confronts the old man. The old man reveals that he is the young boy from Puppet Master 3. He's all grown up, and he has the secret to Toulon's magic. And he's trying to educate her on like the history of this, like how it came about, what Toulon's message was, what was going on, how the puppets were made, and all the various stuff. They're basically arguing back and forth, and with all and so it's kind of a framing narrative for a whole bunch of flashbacks. Is this really a film, or is this more of a highlight reel? Because all the flashbacks are all the interesting kills that took place. So it's like, I was like, okay, cool, but I've seen all these before. There's like nothing new in any of this. This is going to make Witchcraft 7 look like House Party 2.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, I get that. A lot of people like, that's the number one criticism most anybody would have about this is no new kills. And this did kind of seem like it was a stopgap for Full Moon. Like, hey, we haven't made a good movie in a while. Or not a good movie. I don't think we've ever made a good movie. We haven't made a decent return in a long time. If we slap Puppet Master on this, we could just do a highlight reel, shoot maybe 4 or 5 days of actual shooting, put together a film, spend $10,000 and make 100.
Yeah, write a framing script.
Yeah,
shoot 2 people down in one set in one location. So it's 2 people, one location, talking to each other.
Right.
And then they reference back to events that took place and just show stuff from the other movies. I would say 80% of the movie is just flashbacks.
Yeah.
It's flashbacks to previous stuff. Now, that could be either brilliant or it could be lazy. I don't know. It's a cheap way to put out a movie, but it's also a really brilliant way to maintain interest in your franchise.
Right.
In case you're leading up to another, while you're securing funding for another picture. So, like, they were looking to make the 9th film. It's like, we have this idea, but we don't need the money because maybe Puppet Master really isn't that interesting right now. Well, let's create something really cheap and on the fly
right.
with all these highlights of all these puppet kills, and then we'll show that. And then the interest in that, will kind of like resurge interest in that, and then we can use that interest to parlay that into the budget for the next film.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Maybe. So it's classic filmmaking business. I mean, Charles Band is a genius when it comes to marketing these things. He knows how to utilize his properties, and he did this. That's why I was kind of like, it's kind of cool to go back and see the old school stuff. I honestly think it's it's kind of, Denova says it was a bait and switch to keep people interested. And I get that.
Yeah, for certain.
I get that. It's Charles Band's thing. It's his IP. It's his franchise. Full Moon Pictures is his. He can do whatever the hell he wants with it. But that's ostensibly how sometimes we get things done. It's kind of like how Kevin Smith really, really wanted to do Clerks 3, but he couldn't find anybody to finance it.
Right.
Nobody wanted to. He's like, he couldn't find money for shit. So he did Tusk. And Tusk is what led to him being able to do Clerks 3. Because people are like, holy crap, Tusk. What else you got? Clerks 3. So sometimes you got to kind of do the thing that you do the safe film, then you do the art film.
Yeah, I would argue
that
Tusk is not the safe film in this.
So I get why they did it.
He knows Full Moon, and Full Moon wouldn't be Full Moon if it wasn't for Puppet Master. Point blank and period. There's no other reason why people keep going back to Full Moon films. How many Puppet Master films? 17, 18 now?
It's up there. It's getting up there. It's not as many as Amityville. Is the Amityville franchise, because the Amityville is just gone.
We've said this, but there are a lot of films because of the way that Amityville. There's not like they couldn't like trademark, or there's a reason why there are other films who make an Amityville film that are that way just in name only. They're not part of the the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever from the
they just use the visage of the house, is whether you like whatever. Amityville in space is where they lost me.
Right.
It went there. I don't know why, but it went there.
Yeah, it's so stupid. But what was I saying? I don't even know. The thing about this, talking about Full Moon. Full Moon being that they know where their money comes from. Their money comes from Puppet Master series has kept Full Moon afloat for
decades.
Yeah, almost 40 years now. So there you go.
And yes, Joshua Lee says, will there ever be a new Puppet Master? They're still making them. So I think, like I said, every year or so they put out a new one. And like I said, it's changed back and forth. It's gone around. They've been villains, they've been heroes, they've been anti-heroes. It kind of bounces around a bit. But you can always bet on Charles Band. When it's time to put something out, we're going to get a new Puppet Master movie. Oh, yeah. I like that in the recent films he's found a bit of a groove. And that really, really works. He kind of found the sweet spot as to where Puppet Master could be, because the original films always seemed, it was kind of like he's trying to figure out how to make this thing work the best, like what he wants to lean into, the gore or the drama or the comedy, or where do we really work. And it was about and I think it was Axis of Evil where Full Moon really found its groove with the Puppet Master franchise, and they've leaned into that, and it's really good stuff. So check out the most recent things, but this particular one was a matter of just kind of like putting something out there to keep interest, which is cool. I mean, it's a business decision.
You got to do it every now and again.
You got to do it every once in a while to keep your franchises alive, especially to get you to kind of leapfrog to the films that you want to do. Now, this is the kicker. Now, one thing that I realized that it kind of like dawned on me when I watched this one, and I wanted to ask the audience and get the audience opinion, especially Johnny, on this. So, we've commented before when talking about Puppet Master, about the various films in the franchise, that occasionally that each film typically has one or two scenes that are completely and totally stop motion. And they always look phenomenal. There's always something they manage to pull off with stop motion animation that the puppets look absolutely amazing. Whether they're running by the camera, or they're dropping into frame, or they're standing there and they turn around and look at something. Or one of my favorites was in Puppet Master 2, when Blade kills the dude on the bed, and then the girl walks in and screams, and then he does this whole sequence where he jumps off the bed, hisses at her, and comes like tearing ass after her ass. There are some moments, the stop motion that Full Moon does is fucking phenomenal. It is seamless, it is brilliant, and I was like, okay, so they're capable of doing that, of making these things like legitimately awesome, so that by utilizing stop motion animation. Why don't they just do an entire movie that way?
Because it's expensive.
And it's such a bummer, because I would love to see an entire Puppet Master film that really leans into that. Maybe the close-ups and everything can be the dolls themselves, but the vast majority of all the action definitely stop motion.
You know, Aaron brought up something in the green room when we were doing the breakdown for this episode, talking about how they should do the computer-generated stop motion, which takes a long time to set up. But once you get it set up, then you can pretty much do anything with it, right? It's like programming your CGI dinosaurs, right? Yeah, exactly. And look, more power to him, because I don't know, for me, maybe it's a nostalgia thing, but I love those little fucking demonic toys. They're great.
Demonic toys is pretty damn effective. I'll give you that. It was.
Really, yeah. But I think if they did that, if they just took a budget for one of the films and did nothing but programming their stop motion, and then they could, it's so much better to do it that way. It's faster, it's cheaper in the long run. It just takes a long time setting it up, which is time up front, but
right. So Angel Rivera, CPM, bring it way too expensive, time consuming would probably be the guess, and I absolutely agree with that. Now, Rodin Olsen brings up Nightmare Before Christmas, Coraline, Box Trolls, Corpse Bride. It can be done.
Sure.
It can. And I think that the difficulty in a Puppet Master film would be the interactions between the puppets themselves, however they're animated, and live action people. Blending those two together is really, really tough. And it's just, I can see the difficulties presented there would be very expensive to overcome those difficulties. Yeah. But it can be done. We've seen people be able to do this. The whole point being,
I want to say about that, hang on really quick before I interject, what I want to say about that point about Nightmare Before Christmas, Box Trolls, Corpse Bride, Caroline. Nightmare Before Christmas had a $24 million budget.
Yeah.
If you were to add up every single Puppet Master movie, they wouldn't have a $24 million budget.
Shit. Hang on a sec. Now I'm kind of curious about that. So, their budgets aren't on there.
They don't have to be on there. They don't have to.
Yeah, they don't really need them. So
they don't have to. They don't have to release any financial.
That's fucking hilarious.
But yeah.
But yeah. So I wish they would. I think it would be amazing, and I think that given the love that exists for Full Moon and the love that exists for this franchise, I think that they would make the money back, especially if it looked as fantastic as it could possibly be. But it may be beyond Charles Band's budgetary capabilities. Maybe Full Moon just can't, pull in that kind of a budget. I get that. If I was a billionaire,
I just looked up Coraline's budget. You know what Coraline's budget
I don't even imagine. 30 million? 20? $60 million.
$60 million.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
If I was a billionaire...
Yes, it can be done. That's the point. If it can be done, if you have millions of dollars.
If I was a multi-billionaire, I would give Charles Band...
I'd give him $60 million to...
$25 million to make the Puppet Master film we all want.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even say... I would literally be like Disney and Marvel. I'd just be fucking hands off. Here's your money. Do what you do best.
Yep.
I want... obviously, I'm producing this thing, so I want updates and everything, but no input from me. Just take my money.
I don't
and
care
give
if
us
I take the money back. I just want.
I don't even care. Yeah, because I just want to see a badass mother. I want to see fucking Harryhausen style Puppet Master film, and I want you guys to put it together. And here's your fucking money. Do it. All your bills are paid. Make it fucking happen.
Make it happen.
Because I'm a horror nerd, and I'd be very stupid with my money if I was like that.
Yeah, right. Probably why we're not millionaires.
Oh man. Oh, he says Sir Cab says turd sufficiently polished. Let's go to the diamond in the rough. Budget. We don't need no stinking budget. This is true. Sometimes we don't. We absolutely don't. But for as far as like highlight reel goes, it's a highlight reel. You know, I dig it because it was like, oh, I remember that kill. This is banking totally on the nostalgia.
Sure.
I remember that from Puppet Master 3. I remember that from Puppet Master 4. Oh, I remember that from Puppet Master 5.
Yeah.
Oh, the first, like all that crazy shit. So I totally had spaced on like he kind of put himself into like the weird puppet body thing. It was like, oh, I was like, that was so fucking weird.
Yeah, CB Blanco, you're bringing it up 400,000, 780,000. They just didn't have the budget for all of that, and I guarantee the bulk of that budget went to stop motion.
Right.
People bring up Harryhausen. Harryhausen did it at a time where he pioneered that shit. So people.
Well, he also did a time when he was like, eat, snap.
Yeah.
Eat, snap. Eat, snap.
Yeah, we'll do it, but it's going to take us 6 months to a year for 20 seconds. I can't remember what the actual. I think in 24 hours you can get like 10 seconds of some shit like that. It was something crazy. Anyway, we talked about Puppet Masters 1 through 19. I think it's 18. That being said, what I want to know is, what is your favorite Puppet Master film? Let me know down in the comment section, in the side chat, or weekinhorror. My goodness, weekinhorror@gmail.com.
Definitely Puppet Master 3. Not only because of the cool backstory and all that, but it gave a 6-shooter, which I thought was amazing. 6-shooter was fucking sweet. I just love that. I mean, come on, you have a moment where he's like, haha, he's like, ee.
Yeah.
And all those guns go, was like, oh shit.
That's fun. Ordinary Jeff says, Jail, you need an appearance in that movie somewhere if you bankroll the whole thing. Yeah.
Oh, hell yes. Absolutely. Oh, all right. So, Denova20 says number 1 is his favorite. Fantastic. Awesome. All right. So, we got one more. I know we're going to talk about this one because this one was significantly awesome. Let me actually set this up. Fantastic. All right, so our last film of the night, released December 17th, 2004, is A Tale of Two Sisters. Let's check out this trailer. A Korean film, by the way, just a heads up. As picturesque as this is, you know it's going to be bad.
그날 무슨 일이 일어났던 거지?
All right. A Tale of Two Sisters, written and directed by Kim Ji-woon. And I'm going to do my best. Starring Im Soo-jung, Moon Gun-young, Yum Young-ha, Kim Kap-soo, and Lee Dae-yoon.
Pensacola, Mountain Dew.
So, the film itself, the film itself centers around a young girl who is reunited with her family after being institutionalized. And she rejoins her family, her father, her stepmother, and her sister back at the family country home, where as she attempts to reintegrate back into the home after an extended period of institutionalization, things begin to unravel within the home as a series of increasingly disturbing and violent events begin to tear everything apart. There is okay. So Aaron brought up, and of course, to the inevitable conclusion when obviously, Aaron or Eugene would say shit gets real.
Yep.
So Rodino said, "Oh no, the twist. Oh god." So Rodino's last name just dropped. It says the twist. So Aaron actually messaged us. It was kind of like, even though this film came out in 2003, it's almost 20 years old. Okay, it's 20 years old next year. Do we want to hold off on any potential spoilers for the film? It's too late. So Rodin actually did it. So yes, and I will have to say this. Obviously, an amazing film. This was the highest-grossing horror film in Korean history, and the first to actually Korean horror film to actually see a release here in America. So, an amazingly done film, a really, really nicely created psychological horror drama that I think plays on every aspect that it tries to convey beautifully. The sarcasm brings up the music. The music for select scenes, the color schemes, the lighting, the tension cinematography, the script, the acting, all of it was actually in my eyes was perfection as far as what they were trying to convey. And I love the idea, and yes, Angel Rivera brings up, Korean horror has a lot of hidden gems. It absolutely does. The little bits and pieces that are taken, when we're watching it as the audience, we are essentially picking up the pieces as we're going along. Nothing is given away too quickly. Things are revealed in service to the plot when they need to be revealed for the plot. No, we're not led by the hand. We follow on this journey as it leaves these breadcrumbs out for us. And that's what I love the most, is how much it draws us in, because the big reveal at the end that the daughter, I believe Sumi, the daughter Bae Sumi is dissociative, and her sister and this version of her stepmother are products of her imagination, and she is essentially reconciling the traumas that occurred when this stepmother came into their lives. The big thing about this is, the one thing to remember why this works. Oh, Travis Brown put him in timeout due to spoiling the ending. The thing that I love the most about this is that the subjects of identity and the subjects of family, essentially politics, and the idea of what we present to one another is culturally different in Korea. So there is a there's an almost performance aspect to all the different roles within the household. That each individual has their own specific function. These are what they do. This is what we're supposed to be doing. But our humanity demands more. So there's a level of self-control that is almost anathema to the human experience. That anathema is where the drama, where the horror lies in this. The things we don't tell each other, the things we're unwilling to reconcile, the things that we completely deny because we just can't do, because we can't deal with shit. Like the father's inability to really identify with his daughter and her plight, and the chaos, and more overwhelmed by the chaos that comes with her plight. It's both poignant and it's terrifying in that respect, because it's very much grounded in a realistic sense. And yes, wrote in the last name, that actually was the twist. Yes, the sister is not actually there, and the stepmother is actually the dissociative identity of the daughter who was incarcerated. So, and the only people in the house are the daughter and the dad.
Yep.
It's the only people who are there. So.
Yep. Now, there are little hints. The thing that I didn't really get to watch this, I kind of watched bits and pieces of it and putting some of it together, but there were little hints that what was going on. Like that, you see it in the trailer here, right? So in the trailer, the part where the two sisters are brushing the hair in the mirror, and they move identically. That's like subtle storytelling hints of what's going on. Which
there were like the symbolism. The symbolism is very much there, indicating that there is a fracture in what is in someone's narrative. Someone here is an unreliable narrative, but we don't know specifically who it is, and we know that there's a fracturing in some sort of perception. It turns out that the fracturing is, of course, in the daughters, which is why I think is beautifully done when she's in the fight with herself and then smashes her own head against the glass in the medicine cabinet, and then we see that image. We said when the father comes in, when the father realizes what the hell is going on, he goes to the medicine cabinet and he sees all the chaos and he looks, and we see the cameras looking out from the medicine cabinet through the fractured persona. And so the way that the daughter is essentially viewing everything in the world is fractured around her. The symbology there. So it is an absolute absurdist triumph. There is a lot of there's a lot of things that are very, very important to Korean culture that are examined in this, and I would say are critical of this as well, because the director has a keen awareness of what informs his that particular society, and how that particular society leads to these events that could have been preventable, but ultimately we allow them to happen. That's what's the most terrifying about this. Not to mention, there's a legitimate fucking ghost in it. The ghost of the sister who died. It took, you brought it up, when the aunt has the seizure at the table and she's flipping out like this. Like I said, they don't spoon feed you this. She was reliving through the death of...
Take notes. This is how you incorporate a ghost story into a story about, oh, Jesus Christ. Mental
and it took me a second. It was like you don't realize until the very end of the third act, like, holy shit, the aunt was experiencing what the sister experienced when she was going, which is why she saw her and was going through the same, when she was choking and she was asphyxiating and freaking out. That's what the sister went through. So she was reliving her death experience, and it was like, but it doesn't. But these things don't drop. They drop when they need to drop, which is just brilliant storytelling. So the intriguing aspect of this one, and I think is really, really cool, is that the film itself is inspired by an actual Korean folktale. And we talked about the inspiration behind films like this before. So the film was inspired by a Joseon Dynasty era folktale entitled Jeonghwa Hongru Jeon. I think I pronounced that correctly. I may not have.
I'm just kidding. I have no idea. I don't speak Korean.
Yeah, the story of Jeonghwa and Ongrun, I believe is how that's pronounced. I may have, if I butchered that, I apologize. But essentially, the story is about two daughters who live a happy life with their father and their mother, and then the mother dies, and then the evil stepmother comes in, and the stepmother winds up destabilizing everything, and they have kids of their own, and she turns on her stepdaughters, winds up killing both of them, and then the father's completely oblivious to all of this. But then the ghosts return, and they extract their revenge against the stepmother and their step-siblings, who were all in on it, and they absolve their father of his guilt, and then the father marries again, a third woman, after the ghosts have their revenge, and the daughters are born and they're reincarnated. So I'm becoming the next Eugene of pronunciation. I think I actually got those. I think I did.
In Eugene's defense, that one time he fucking was flawless with his pronunciations was the Korean film. So
that's true.
So there we are.
But so an absolutely beautiful story, and that's one of the cool things about. And if you go back and read the story is really, really rich, really in depth. And of course, when the father remarries a third time, the twin daughters that are born to him from the third wife are the reincarnated, are his original daughters reincarnated. So love conquers all. What I love the most about Korean horror, and this goes also true for Japanese horror, for Chinese horror, and in a sense, Indonesian, Filipino.
Eastern culture horror.
The difference between Eastern culture and Western culture horror tropes is in the sense that there is always a kind of there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. The optimism that is there, that we have to go through the shit in order to get to where we want to be. We have to go through the trials and tribulations in order to get to the good ending. And there will always be a good ending, but we have to be willing to go through this experience and deal with these terrible things so we can learn, grow, and become better people and achieve the ending that we want. So even if it's something horrific, like ghosts having to come back and seek their own revenge in order to, bring justice and stuff of that nature, the idea that the past informs the future, the idea that we must reconcile our past in order to get the futures that we envision for ourselves, or to get justice or truth or whatever, to bring these things to light, these things are very, very important to Eastern culture. These things aren't so much important to American culture, or to, I would say, Western culture, predominantly American, because this film is so beautifully done, because it nails that. It nails the difference, and it kind of reflects that. I look at like American horror, or European or Western culture horror, where essentially we go through the same thing. We go through the shit, and we have the same problems. Inability to reconcile our past, inability to recognize our mistakes, inability to. But we go through the same shit, but it's always where we're at is just slightly where we wind up at the end is slightly less shitty than where we were. That there's this sense that you can never go home is the thing in Western culture, where things will that through the trauma we will never be able to return to where we were, that we are irrevocably changed by the traumas that we endure, and that we are in a sense out of control in that respect. We can't control that those traumas inform us, they change us, we are changed forever. We'll never get back to the way it was. But you don't see that in Eastern horror. We go through it, we come back better. Or we reattain what we have lost, and we find our balance, and we come back with an appreciation. But we are not damaged in that respect. And I think that right there lies at the heart as to why the fundamental differences between these two aspects. That would be my pass to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was lost in the eloquence of your. Again, I need to sit down and watch this movie start to finish without any interruptions, so I can really pick up on some of the more nuanced stuff in it. I don't think that the ideas and the differences between Eastern and Western style horror, even if we're talking about like Korean, Japanese, like specifically in the Asian style horror films, you see very much that. Like, take a look at what's come over, like the Ringu. I forget what the Grudge.
The Grudge.
Yeah. Those are visitors.
It's my dog.
That puppy. He says, "Hey, play with me. Stop talking to that hairy guy on the internet." Anyway, looking at how, and one of the reasons why I disliked the American adaptations of those films is because we tried to westernize them and we tried to make them
right.
It's like, speaking of the devil, and the devil shall appear. There he is. Hey, buddy.
Eugene's here. Good to see you, Eugene. Joshua Lees, thanks for coming to Jail's TED Talk.
Exactly. The things that I didn't like were the American style influences on those films. Not that they were terrible. I didn't like it, right? For me, I appreciate the way that Korean horror films, Japanese horror films, how when they don't use their culture necessarily as like this, we're hitting you over the head with our culture. It's just there, right? It's just there. And the way that it influences their storytelling, I think, is a little bit more subtle and nuanced, like the nuances of their culture that comes through their storytelling. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's because I don't live in that culture and I haven't been inside of that culture my entire life. Maybe I just appreciate the way that they weave their narrative of their stories throughout their film. I could be wrong. I could be like, well, no, the Ring was great and the Ring was better. No, I don't think so, but whatever. As far as this film, Tale of Two Sisters, Nova 28 absolutely says their culture flows with it. And maybe it might be if I were outside of America looking in at American horror film, I could say, well, there's the American culture, which that might be an issue in itself, is because we're such an amalgamation of so many different cultures that it's hard to sit there and say what like true American culture is. Like, what is it? I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting a little too medicine head on everybody, but it happens. And this is what this Road to the Last Name says they're doing: an Americanized Train to Busan, and it's just going to suck. This is a tough one because Train to Busan was great. Just like Alive, that was great. Oh no, Travis Brown, absolutely. Japanese horror film, they're amazing. I don't know. I don't know what to think of this, right? Americanized Train to Busan. I just don't know what to think about that because it's so tough. It's tough. It's tough because I do think it's not going to be as good. And Eugene Hawkins is correct. It was perfect the way it is. There's no way to make it better. There really is no way to make it better. I just think it's an American cash grab. So, yeah, don't do it. Come on, Hollywood, just leave it alone.
Agreed.
And that's all I have to say.
That's all you have to say about that. There's just I think that's what this one reflects so well, and I'd like that Eugene brought up Train to Busan.
Road No Last Name actually brought it up.
Oh, Road No Last Name brought up Train to Busan, yeah. And I think what ultimately derailed Train to Busan Peninsula. I think the reason that film derailed is because they embraced too much of the Western influence.
Okay, so the same thing happened. The same thing happened with 28 Days Later, and then 28 Weeks Later. Like 28 Days Later was this. Hey, we made it again.
Yeah.
28 Days Later was this real British horror film. And the Americans got a hold of it, didn't redo it. We just said, hey, let's do a sequel to it. We're going to add in a whole bunch of explosions and whatnot. I'm like, oh, come on, man.
But if you definitely get the opportunity, this is, I think, that A Tale of Two Sisters, and there actually was an American remake to it, if I remember correctly. God, this thing won so many awards.
Really?
The film The Uninvited. The Uninvited was essentially the remake of this one, and that had Elizabeth Banks and David Strathairn and Emily Browning in it. All solid actors in their own right, but the film did not really hit because that's the essentially the Americanization of this folktale. I like this one because of the commitment to the source material and the kind of both reflecting on Korean culture and Korean identity politics and and family dynamics, reflecting on that in the modern age and kind of retelling the story the way to a solid affect, and not to mention capturing the beauty of what makes Eastern influence or Eastern cultured horror some of the best out there. This is the reason why Ju-on and Ringu were so fucking scary, and it's because they grab it because they know what they're talking about in the sense. Right. I think it also comes along the lines of having an established kind of mythology or a culture, whereas these countries have been around for thousands of years, and America just really hasn't been around.
That's kind of where I was going with that. We don't really have a real established American culture because we're still in the we're not even 300. Went through 1776 officially, but golly, I'm trying to think of how diverse our culture has been outside of, because we actively oppress the indigenous cultures, right? We used to fucking jail Navajo for practicing their religion and whatnot. So, and then not to mention all the stolen artifacts that were melted down to make fucking coins and whatnot. Anyway, I don't want to get too political. What is American culture versus what is Korean culture? Like Koreans can be like, boom, here it is. This is what, we've got something that's thousands of years old that we can we can really latch onto.
Eugene brings up Train also tackles the issues of economic class and parenthood. That's another thing that
which is
Eastern
so much
horror,
more. Yes,
Eastern horror is more willing to look at itself and be like, this is why it's like, not only do we have this problem, but here's specifically why we have this problem and why in episodes that we would consider to be extreme, like zombies on a train, why these problems exacerbate issues even further when they don't have to. It's like, why do we get ourselves in these situations? Because of these preconceptions or these ideas that we have about what we're supposed to be. And so, yeah, that's Squid Game does it. Squid Game does the exact same thing. So when it comes down, wrote another name. How hard is it to kill schoolgirls? Goddamn right, because they overcame the ghost and they defeated it with the lucky frog. They absolutely did.
That's funny.
That's true. We are a country of 100 different cultures and trying to find our way through it. This is this is what it comes down to. So, and at least unlike Australia, that isn't even really that old either, given when it was colonized and when it became what it became. Everything there wants to kill them. So everything in Australia, all Australian-centered horror is all about everything out in the environment trying to kill you.
Yeah,
it's pretty much what it is. They have built-in horror there. So, but yeah, that's why I love this film. It's an absolute legendary pick. Don't really need to check out The Uninvited unless you want to see the Americanized version of it. Meh. The only time Americanizations of these films like this ever, I think, really worked was The Grudge, the one that came out with Sarah Michelle Gellar, and The Ring, which came out with Naomi Watts. But that's only because Naomi Watts was fantastic, and it's because The Grudge wasn't centered on Sarah Michelle Gellar's, but the story in itself was unchanged.
Yeah.
And the American, it wasn't centric to them, it was centric to the house, which was important.
Right.
If you make the Americans the center of it, you change the tonality of the picture. They maintained, it's the curse, it's the house, it just happens to have Sarah Michelle Gellar in it. That's it.
Right.
So, which I really, really liked. No, Tony Regime says the environment and Mick Taylor.
I would argue that Mick Taylor is a product of his environment.
A product of the Australian environment. I would agree with that. Absolutely. Travis Brown's The Loved One shows how the Aussie girls take revenge on people who are being dumped. This is true. This is absolutely true. So, my curiosity is this. Given that A Tale of Two Sisters is based upon an ancient Korean folktale, and we've seen a lot of stuff, whether it's Japanese or Korean or Indonesian or even European horror, Russian horror, African horror, doesn't matter. There are folk tales throughout humanity that have informed many of the horror films that we've watched, whether they were cautionary tales or they were warnings about existing evils or however they may be, whatever the purpose of them is. What is the scariest folk tale in your opinion? As far as the things that we use to inform our modern day contemporary horror, they all have ancient roots. So, in your mind, what is the scariest folktale to have inspired horror in the modern age? Let us know down in the comments below, or of course at weekinhorror@gmail.com, or here in the live chat. Love to hear what y'all think. Absolutely.
The age-old Tale of the Headless Horseman.
Oh. I've always the one that always that always rings.
By the way,
the one that rings for me is, and Angel Rivera brings up Candyman. And it's essentially the hook for a hand, the scraping at the door.
Yeah.
The kids out doing what they're not supposed to be doing. There's a killer on the loose. There's a scraping at the door. They get scared. They run home. And then they find out when they get out of the car, there was a hook, a disembodied hook, a torn off hook hanging in the door handle of the car.
Yeah.
That always got me. How close you came to the horror, but you never knew it. It's kind of like, that's what's scary for me about like being out of the ocean. It's like, I can go in the ocean, but I don't go too far into the ocean. Because the further you go into the ocean, the more there is that you're not aware of.
We're not supposed to be there, okay?
We're not supposed to be out there. So, all right.
Everything in the ocean is better equipped to handle the ocean than we are. Even the birds who fly over the ocean are better equipped than we are.
Yeah, we're pretty awful. It's like I'm a swim.
Think about all the do the backstroke. Okay, do the doggy paddle, do the butterfly. It's like something else, some other animal that's better equipped at swimming. That's what we have to mimic.
It was my first time really diving. My first time ever really diving when I realized when I was down under the water and I was looking around at the abyss that extended out beyond the shore as far as just a wall of just blue that there was no depth to. And I'm looking down, there's the coral reef, and it just descends into infinity, and I was kind of like, We are so not equipped to be here. How do people just do this? It's just...
There's a point in diving where if you go too far deep, you can't tell which way is up, down, left, right. So, yeah.
Got to watch the bubbles.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, but definitely let us know down in the live chat, or definitely down in the comments below, or weekinhorror@gmail.com. What is the scariest folktale, in your opinion? Let us know. So, it is trivia time. I guess we're going to figure out what to do with that one day.
Wait, hang on a second. Wait, just a second.
Oh, do you have something queued up?
No, just chit-chat for a second.
Okay, so for today's trivia question, we're going to be giving away another mystery item from the Week in Horror store. Never know what it could be, because there's mystery items. When it's a mystery item, people tend to be kind of excited about it, because they never know what they're going to get. Joshua Lee brings up Wendigos. Seem pretty scary. The possibility of punishment for doing something wrong. Oh, gotcha, yeah. Wendigos are good. Oh, man, I hope we get to shoot our movie. It's not a Wendigo movie. Just clarifying. It's not a Wendigo, but it is an indigenous American legend. But hopefully one day. So... but the first person to get the correct answer in the live chat for the trivia question tonight will win a mystery item from the Week in Horror store. And are you bringing up the live chat, or should I?
I have it up right now.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
Wait, let me remind myself of the answer.
So, whenever you're ready, as a matter of fact, you know what I'll do is I have the notification here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. I got to turn the volume down. All right, cool. And I have the live chat pulled up myself as well. So whenever you're ready, give them the horror question. First person to get this answer correct in the live chat wins the mystery item from the Week in Horror store. Get those Google fingers ready. Whenever you take it away, Johnny.
All right. So what I want to know, which entry is chronologically first in the Puppet Master franchise? That's which entry is chronologically first in the Puppet Master franchise?
First one in the live chat to get that correct answer wins a mystery item from the Week in Horror store. Fred Edge says the bottom one. Looking for a title. Travis Brown. Correct. Travis Brown gets it with a retro. Oh, wait.
Well, DeNova was there as well.
Ooh. Now I have Okay, hang on a second. I have the live chat up. I have DeNova first.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Travis Brown. DeNova eked it in just before you with retro. Yes, it was Retro Puppet Master. Sorry about that. Apologize. DeNova, didn't mean to overlook you because those were coming through so quickly. Retro Puppet Master is correct. Good job, DeNova. Travis Brown was right behind him with Retro Puppet Master. Freddie says, I don't know what entry you use. Oh, just the title of the film. Angel Rivera, Retro Puppet Master. Leanne, Retro Puppet Master. DeNova on my screen. Yep, it was DeNova. Followed by the third. Yep, absolutely. All right, so let me make sure I got that down. And it was DeNova 28. And we will get that printed out and shipped to you ASAP. Congratulations, DeNova. It was Retro Puppet Master.
Yay!
Did you want to take it, or do you want me to?
I can do it. Sorry, I was doing another thing. I was trying to get us a sound effect, but excuse me, it didn't work. All right. My goodness, this is a fun one today, even though I only got half of it. And that will bring another episode of Week in Horror to a close. Thank you so much for joining us. We truly hope you enjoyed the show. Join us next week when we look back into the 80s West German horror Night Kill. What is that? Gosh.
Giallo.
The Giallo slasher, Terror at the Opera, London Underground Horror in Creep, and the 50s creature feature Tarantula. For more horror fun, be sure to follow us on all the socials for the Daily Splatter, which is your daily horror film recommendation. Remember, we're constantly being stalked by the cruelest of faceless slashers, the algorithm. And you can help us defeat it by dropping a comment, liking, subscribing, and smashing that notification bell like the true third act final girl. Wow. Wow, that could be taken so many different ways. Quick reminder that Joshua Olsen does all of our amazing artwork for the show, and his designs are incredible. So make sure you hit up the store at www.badsamurai.store. A massive shout out to all of our amazing patrons who continue to help us make Week in Horror the incredible success it has become. Thank you so much. Thank you. You guys are awesome. And if you would like and are able to support the production, you could do so by joining and enjoying the tasty benefits of one of our many patron tiers. We got great ones there. But if Patreon is not your favorite stalking method, you can always support us directly through our PayPal. Links to everything, including our Discord community, where you can hang out with us, are in the description below. And reminder, the goal is global horror domination, and we can't do it without you, our amazing audience. So pretty please, with the hopes and dreams of indie horror lovers everywhere on top, go share the absolute fuck out of our little show. Thank you all for being the greatest audience a podcast could ever have. I'm some fat guy.
I'm JL.
Aaron's not here, unfortunately. Hope you feel better, Aaron. We'll see you. That's the gibberish. That's the gibberish version. We'll see you next week. And as always, stay scared.
And our heart's got to be afraid. Sorry to hear about your daughter being in the hospital. We hope she's doing better. I hope she gets better soon.
Yeah.
And glad that we could be here to help cheer you up a little bit. I know things are tough. But definitely all the best from all of us to you and to your little one. Definitely. So like the man said, actually, you got that right. Like the man said, stay scared. I did that correctly. The right direction.
Oh, shit.
Oh, fail.
Ooh, film noir.
The other one's not working.
Gotta admit, it's kind of cool.
I love it.